I feel like we need to start the episode off with taps. Tim Cook is stepping down from Apple. Hey.
How's the beard?
That's for later in the episode. So this is so weird that the news broke this week that Tim Cook is stepping down from Apple, because Apple's 50th anniversary was April 1st, and we're recording this on the 24th, right? So it was like 20 days ago, give or take. And he was like, not going anywhere. And then on April 21st, he was like, haha, just kidding. And is now leaving the organization. He's not really like leaving. I think he's stepping down as CEO, and I think he's coming on as like chairman emeritus or something. I don't know, one of those weird titles.
Yeah.
But he's handing over the reins of the company to John Turnus, who's currently the chief hardware engineer. And
that's an interesting move.
Yeah, it's a big thing because, like, I don't remember. I don't think Tim came from the hardware team originally, but what people have been saying is that Turnus is way more decisive than Cook is. Like, apparently, like in meetings, if you were like, hey, Tim, this is what we're thinking about doing. What do you think? And he'd be like, well, what do you think? Whereas Turnus would be like, yes, no, which is very like a Jobsian way of working. And I'm hoping that's a good thing in the long run for Apple, because I really want Turnus to come in and do what Jobs did back in like 97 when he came back and was like, we're getting rid of everything and we're making 4 products. Because I have tried to figure out the difference between an iPad, an iPad mini, an iPad Air, and an iPad Pro. And if you ask an Apple badged employee, they will tell you exactly, word for word, the same thing, who those devices are for, because they've all read it from an instruction manual whilst drinking the Kool-Aid.
Right.
But like, I think they really need to step into cleaning up the product line and fixing things that are broken. And I think with like a hardware engineering mindset, I feel like that's a good way to go. He doesn't step down until September 1, which is interesting because it'll be after Worldwide Developer Conference this summer. And somebody had just brought up in the Mac Admins ACN channel, like, hey, hopefully with the new regime, like, we'll get rid of liquid glass, the new, like, you know, the interface that's in Mac OS 26 or iOS 26.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan. I'll admit.
I find that a lot of tech people are not a huge fan, but if you're outside of tech, it's fine. And I was like, I don't think Turnus was going to do anything, because technically his first real dub as CEO wouldn't be this year, 2026. It would be next year, 2027. So big news. Of course, rumbled the stock a little bit, but all is well as per usual. So it's actually this article I'm reading on MacRumor says Cook is set to remain CEO through September 1st, 2026, at which point he will move into his new role and Turnus will take over as CEO. Cook will see Apple through WWDC, but Turnus will be leading the company by the time the iPhone 18 Pro and iPhone Fold launch, which is another huge rumor that I do not believe is going to come true this year. Now, I've been wrong. I've been wrong before.
We'll see.
We'll see what happens.
You know, other people have come out with things, and I think the technology has improved. But
Michelle has a Samsung Galaxy Fold. She made me buy her one for work, and then after day one, it has sat on the shelf in our kitchen untouched that I'm still paying for. But I do like it. I like because it's really good. She's so email heavy at her job that it's really cool to be able to like whoop, and then now you have like a good iPad mini, basically, is what it is. Yeah,
pretty much. It says here, because I did look it up, that Tim came to Apple in March of 1998. So that'll make 28 years he's been there. And he came up through the operations side. So he was hired originally as the senior VP of worldwide operations, became COO, and then became CEO.
Luke on my team and I were having a conversation because Luke and I are the oldest in the company, and we've been through the entire era with Apple since the get-go, right? So I asked ChatGPT, I said, give me a list of failed products, ones that customers did not buy and pulled. Break it down between the second Steve Jobs era and the Tim Cook era. And like, it's funny to see some of these items that come up. Steve Jobs era, 97 to 2011, all hits, but some flops. The Power Mac G4 Cube, which I have one right over there. The 20th anniversary Mac, which I have one over there. The iPod Hi-Fi. Remember, it was like a boom box that you plug you plug your iPod in. Software that didn't work was Mac OS Copeland, which was really part of what Mac OS 10 was going to be before Jobs came back and kind of merged Next OS into it. And iTunes Ping. Remember that?
I do not remember that.
Yeah, it was a 2-year. It was supposed to be like social networking for music. And what's hilarious is if you watch movies, like cool movies from 2010 to 2012, like the coming of age kind of movies, there's always references to iTunes because there's always like a shot of a MacBook with iTunes, and Ping in big old letters is right there, unconfigured because nobody used it. Tim Cook era, 2011 to present, major hardware product fails. The Air Power 2017 to 2019 was canceled. It never shipped. It was like a foldable mat to charge your phone, watch, and AirPods at once. Hilariously, while it was a failure, Journey, who makes my desk mat, makes this really awesome charging thing. Go to youtube.com/@allthingsmsp to see what I'm holding up. This is a magnet to my desk mat, but phone and AirPod charger and a USB-C port right there on the top. The original HomePod, I don't know why they marked that as a failure. Great sound, bad positioning and price, but they brought it back. The iPhone 5C, the budget iPhone, it wasn't actually budget enough. And the Apple Watch Edition Gold, a $17,000 luxury Apple Watch, which, understandably. The biggest one he has admitted to this one is the failure at the launch of Apple Maps, which now I use exclusively anyway. I wouldn't know. However, of all of that, the biggest failure ever was in 2014. And it was the U2 iPod that forced everybody to get their album, and you could not delete it.
Yeah, I still have those on my phone.
Yeah. Not a big fan of U2. I am a big fan of you, too. Been a near.
Compromised credentials are the number one threat to your clients. If an attacker gets into a mailbox, do you have a second line of defense? Material security brings zero trust to the inbox. By adding a layer of MFA to sensitive historical emails and adding phishing herd immunity, you can protect data even after a perimeter breach. Don't just filter email, protect the data inside it. Click the link in the description and check out their website to learn more about how Material handles modern cloud threats. Most voice over IP providers treat MSPs like an afterthought. But at OIT, they've built a partner program that actually scales with your business. Start as a channel partner and move to full white label when you're ready, without ever losing control of your clients or having to restart your billing. You can hit profit margins of up to 80%, while OIT handles the heavy lifting behind the scenes. Stop settling for small commissions and start building real equity in your brand. Click the link in the description or visit oit.co and explore their partner migration path today.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the All Things MSP Podcast. I'm your host, Justin Esgar, and with me, he tried to clone his beard repo, and I got merge conflict all over my face, Mr. Eric Anthony.
Sounds a little wrong.
It was both good and wrong at the same time. That's why I picked that one. Thanks, ChatGPT, for being gross. Hey, buddy.
Oh, how are you today?
Oh, what's funny? I think the listeners have gotten to the point where, like, they know when you ask me how I'm doing today, my answer is like, well, it's Friday and everything's gone to shit.
Well, and you do have ACEs coming up, so I understand there's a lot of stress involved with putting on an event. If you didn't catch last week's show, that's what it was about. So, scroll back in your podcast listener, or, in YouTube, whatever, check that out. But what we haven't done in a while? We haven't done Reddit Roulette in a while. And I thought, it's something we ought to bring back every once in a while.
Insert music here.
If only we had theme music for that.
I think we did at some point. Yeah. All right. Let's do Reddit Roulette. You're going to go ask me something. I'm going to give you my unbiased, unprofessional opinion. You'll tell me I'm wrong, and we'll move on to the next one.
No, I think we'll discuss it a little bit more than that.
Okay, fine. That's
so
fair.
The first one, and of course I'm pulling these out of the RMSP Slack? No, that's not Slack. It's Reddit.
It's Reddit. That's why it's called Reddit Roulette.
Can you tell that I live in Slack?
Friday.
Yeah. All right. So this one I think is interesting because I also had a comment from somebody who wanted to hear more about ticket metrics and KPIs and things. So this one kind of fits. They're asking, is this ticket amount low, normal, or high? They took a 90-day snapshot of one of their customers with 25 users. There were 106 tickets, a total of 72 hours. And I'm assuming that that's 72 hours worked on the tickets, 27 minutes average resolution. There were 1.41 tickets per work day, Monday through Friday, no holidays.
Mm-hmm.
And these are there are two hardware related or infrastructure failure tickets in here. So only two hardware or infrastructure related failure tickets in here. So I think most of these you could categorize as help desk rather than critical outages.
Fair. I mean, the numbers do sound really high out the gate, right? 106 tickets in 90 days. That's more than a ticket a day, right? They said 1.41 tickets per workday. If with 25 users, I'm going to take out those two hardware related ones to make it 104. 104 tickets divided by 25 is 4.16. So we'll just round down 4 tickets per user in 90 days.
Yeah.
When you break it down like that, it doesn't sound so terrible, right? 4 tickets in 90 days, but
it's per user.
Right. That's the problem. 4 tickets per user in 90 days, right? I think that this is high. I really do think this is a lot.
I agree.
Because I'm really questioning. So there's a couple of pieces here that the person who posted this didn't say, which is like, and I think this plays into it, what kind of industry this customer is, right? Because if they're not in some sort of high pressure, high economic industry, like medical, as an example, I would take it almost that the user base that's there is just either not doing what they're supposed to do, or they're not learning, or they're just dumb, I guess. I don't know.
That's a possibility.
Right, because if this was a 25 user, I don't know. I don't want to make fun of anyone here, but if you were a design firm, right? And you were getting 4 tickets per user over the 90 days, I'd really question what's going on there. There must be a more critical infrastructure training issue going on. Maybe if it's, like I said, if it's a design firm, I'm getting that many, maybe it's they're using the wrong design software, or maybe they're having connectivity problems because you didn't build out the system the right way or something. Because I don't think I've ever had a client that has this many tickets in this kind of time span.
Yeah, I think it comes down to more than likely one of two things. And I think some of the comments bear this out. I think it's either the lack of training, which can easily be one of the problems. Mm-hmm. But I think you also kind of hit on it. The other problem is technology friction, or technological friction. Yeah, I'll call it.
Yeah.
Misconfigurations, people not having the right software or the right privileges. There's a lot of things that could go on here. Now, the way that I would look at this and the way that I would fix it is I would analyze, because that's a lot of tickets. You have enough tickets there to analyze.
Scroll down a little bit. He does. Yeah. Okay, so according to this, I found the tag. He categorized by tags later in this post. In 90 days, 11 were email, 7 were other, 5 were software, 5 were workstation, 4 were telephony, 3 server, 2 printing, 2 new user, 2 network Wi-Fi, 2 new network, 1 compliance, 1 user change, 1 new workstation, 1 network Ethernet, and a portrait and a pear tree. Number 1, he's double dipping on things because network Ethernet, network Wi-Fi, new network is all networking. And I saw new workstation, new network, new user. Like I don't think his classifications are clear enough, or I don't think this particular user, pitiful duty 631, is classifying properly. Also, those others probably are important.
Well, and those are unavoidable, right? Installing a new network, that's a new project. User changes, new workstations, those are things that just happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what interests me is that email is at 11. Yeah. What is happening that 11 of those tickets were
email based,
about email? And actually,
he goes on later. It's funny if we find, continue scrolling, right? So apparently it's a retail shop, 100% online, only through their website. The oldest device in their building is 2.5 years old. It sounds like the more context we're getting out of this, like there's root problems. Because, again, 11 email questions in 90 days, unless it's like, hey, I thought I was getting this email, or hey, can you release this spam, right? It's hard to tell. The case is that, maybe it's just a needy user and it's not as bad as it sounds. He also doesn't break out proactive versus reactive, because new workstation is a proactive ticket versus a reactive ticket.
Yeah. I'm trying to check something right here. Because I want to see, because those numbers definitely don't add up to 104.
Oh, no, they definitely do not. No. I can tell you right now. 11, 7, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1 does not.
They add up to 47.
Yeah. Those are, yeah. So, it's not even, and those initial classifications aren't even really helpful.
Well, some of them are. Some of them, I think I agree with you. They should be combined, right?
Mm-hmm.
But where's the other 53?
Right, because if the other 53 are monitoring alerts, whenever I do a ticket analysis on a customer, monitoring alerts are never part of it. Not because they're not important, but because usually it's about what the customer is needing from us in terms of active back and forth, right?
Yeah. So I see it. They actually answer the question further down, and it says not all tickets are tagged, unfortunately.
Oh, well then, okay. So this guy has multiple problems.
Yeah, that's a huge, of all the operational problems that I see, that is the biggest one that I see right here.
So what I see here, and if you are pitiful duty 631, DM Eric and I privately so we know who you are. We're not trying to make fun of you or see what's going on, but
right.
It sounds here that there are top line organizational issues. You're not tagging everything that comes in, and maybe your tags aren't really doing you any justice because, again, network Wi-Fi, new network Ethernet, no reason to separate those out.
Well, and even outside of that, you could have just downloaded a spreadsheet of all the tickets and asked ChatGPT to classify them for you so that you had all of them, even though they weren't tagged.
And the other thing, the other thing I was going to say, though, is find the holistic pieces to all of it. Again, use ChatGPT or Claude, take all the data out of those tickets and say, where are the patterns that are showing up that I'm missing?
Right.
I find that generative AI is really, really good at that stuff. In fact, side note, I'm trying to do an inventory true up for a customer right now between the stuff that we manage and everything else that their other IT people manage. And they have multiple MDMs, multiple services, and we want to make sure all devices are everything. And a human, Lauren was working on it, and we missed a couple of things. And I was like, you know what, let me just Claude this one out. and I gave it all to Claude, and I was like, these are all the things in Claude. I was like, hey, you're missing data for me to figure this math out, because I knew what the goal was. So like, I was like, oh, a human's not going to math that out. Let me get you that data. Generative AI is really good at figuring that stuff out. So back to Pitiful Duty here, like, take the export of your data from your ticketing system with these tags, with the resolutions, with the problems, and have ChatGPT kind of find those patterns, because I think you probably have a holistic issue here or two that can be solved. And maybe it's training. Maybe it is user training, right? Maybe you're not running your software updates accurately enough and you're running into software problems. Like, I don't know what the difference is between a workstation issue, if he said only 2 of them are infrastructure, to then say, I have server issues, and then later say new workstation or new network. Like, it's there's a lot there. If the tickets really are all over the board, let's argumentatively say he's right, and the tickets really are all over the board, the client is very needy, and that's okay if you can get paid for that appropriately. If you're giving it to them in an all-you-can-eat scenario and you're charging them $60 a workstation and they're opening up 106 tickets in 90 days, you're not getting paid enough. So, like, the context of, like, is this ticket amount low, normal, or high can be reversed by saying, are you being paid enough for this amount of work, right? 25 users at $60 a device, which is what I think most MSP, like mid-range MSPs in the middle of the country are charging, right? Is $1,500. $1,500 divided by, that's a month. Let's say 1,500, that's 4,500 for the month, for the 3 months divided by 106 is $42 a ticket. Right? So like, that's not enough. You should definitely be charging a customer like this that's needy, probably closer to like 160, 175, which gets you 43.75 a month times 3. That's 13,125 divided by 106, which gets you $123 a ticket. So that's 3 times the price. I don't think you would question, is the amount of tickets high or not if you're getting paid $123 a ticket versus $40 a ticket.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, one of the other things that we haven't talked about yet, and another way to look at this is to look at the clusters of where these tickets are in relation to each employee, because this could be 2 or 3 employees that are jacking up these numbers.
Oh, 100%,
and so you could solve it just by fixing those 2 or 3 employees.
Yeah. If it's like the CEO, I mean, so we have in our contract, like, the don't be an a-hole clause, which I've only ever had to enact once, which is like, if you are opening massive amounts of tickets in a short amount of time and you're doing this like over and over and over, kind of similar to what this guy's posting about, we're going to have a conversation first and then we're going to drop you second. And I've only had to do this once, and I went to this client, it was the CEO, and I was like, listen, you're not paying us enough to have a ticket every day about something because you're not listening to what we're telling you to do about how to do things. Either you pay us more or you stop not listening. And they like, it's like an awkward conversation because, like, you know, I'm basically telling you, don't tell me about all your problems, but I also want you to tell me about all your problems. But I also want you to like learn from your mistakes. Like, don't ask me the same thing over and over. We sussed it out. She understood where we were coming from. And like, honestly, like, it worked out in the long run for the better.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of ways to look at this. I think you really pointed out something that was actually very interesting to me that I hadn't thought of before. And that is calculating backwards from the number of tickets that get opened back to how much that costs versus how much you're making per user, per workstation, whatever you're charging for. I think that is something that needs to be in your analysis of when you're figuring out your pricing. And it's something you need to monitor to make sure that you don't have clients that are exceeding the number of tickets per user per month that is going to, really hurt your profit margin.
Because like I was just thinking about this. So we're talking about the numbers being backwards, right? At his current, what we say was going to be like $42 if he was charging 60. If you're paying your staff $45, you're losing $3 per ticket, right? Like, there's a way to do the math. I'm jumping from like per ticket to a per hour, so like the numbers they're not
Right.
100% even. But my point is that like if you're not doing that math, you may not be profitable,
Right.
based on what you're paying your staff to do to handle this one customer. So maybe you have to look at it as like, who cares if it's low, medium, or high? They're just too needy. They've got to go.
Well, and if you look at it this way, 27 minutes was the average time, right? There were 4 tickets per user in that 90 days, right? So let's just call it, let's go lower. Let's say 1 ticket every 30 days, so 1 ticket every 30 days for a half an hour. So if your hourly rate for expense is, let's call it $40 an hour to make it even.
Yeah.
So you've got $40 time for every employee. Like that's, and you're only charging 60, your profit margin's 20 before you even start adding in tools. Tools is going to consume that last 20. So you are way underwater already.
Yeah.
At that point.
And those tickets at, let's say 30 minutes a ticket, right? 3 tickets is an hour and a half.
Right.
Like the math doesn't math is the issue here. So yes, it's too high based on what we can calculate from what you're sharing. And depending on what you're charging them really matters in that equation. I think what this user needs to do is really dig deeper into that data and figure out why are there so many tickets, what inherently can be fixed. Like I said earlier, look for patterns and see what things can be changed, and maybe have a straight up conversation with the owner over there saying like, why is it that your team is being so daft when it comes to things, and why can't we get these things on track? Because I think really what you have right now is a runaway train.
Yeah. So if you're interested in having Justin and I help you out with these things, and we're not just talking to the original poster of this, we're talking about anybody who has these questions about operationalizing this stuff and coming and looking at the math behind it, feel free to reach out. This is what we love to do.
Yeah.
So we did call this Reddit Roulette, so we probably shouldn't stick on one.
Yeah, bring me another
topic today. We should at least do one more.
We'll do one more. Bring me another.
And this one, they had me at the title, right? It's to RMM or not to RMM. And I mean, this has come up a lot. I'll go ahead and read the original post. It's a little bit long, so forgive me if I talk a little fast. I work for a mid to large size MSP in the UK. We've done many acquisitions in the last years and are now unifying more of our stack. We have an automation team using Roost to automate many things, and we use Datto RMM. I was tasked with looking into other solutions because it's time to look beyond Kaseya. We've been very well received by Ninja in their community, and we are looking at Enable too. But something keeps gnawing at me. Are we making a move we shouldn't? I hear more and more about Intune getting faster and results via scripts and apps. The check-in times are less now, and policies activate within minutes. Combined with all our clients are on Business Premium or better, as that's our minimum stack. We're also in Microsoft internal Intune programs and recently heard about changes coming to Intune that allow more flexibility with PowerShell and alerts. Should we even be looking at RMM now, or just supplement what we miss with Intune, CIPP, and Roost? We're already on the Microsoft stack for our EDR2. Most of our software is installed via Intune. If you've tried this, let me know how you feel. I'm worried any choice for any RMM is one I might regret in a year.
I think this is a great question. I also, if you didn't notice, his username is Bearded Tech Fail, so fits right in with us today. You know, the thing about RMM is really funny because, like, all right, I said this a long time ago, which was that like MDM was the acronym for Apple and PSA was the acronym on PC, and at some point we switched, right? So then Mac people started using we started getting to PSAs, and PC MSPs were starting to get into MDM. Jamf and Mosel on the Mac side are MDM only. Adigi is MDM plus RMM. And being able, in my opinion, to get on a computer of a user while they're having trouble and see their screen is massively valuable to a white glove service. If your company is not a white glove service, and don't kid yourself by saying everybody's a white glove service. They're not.
No, they're not.
They're not. If you don't claim to be a white glove service, then maybe Bearded Tech Fail isn't wrong, because what is the RMM going to get you that Intune doesn't, right? Because like, I don't know Intune well enough to 100% say these things, but like, can't Intune manage the software update policy and push all of the security through Defender? And you can set your rules like don't allow, USB sticks and stuff like that in Intune. Like that's its function. Apple has even backed Intune because Apple, whenever I go to like Apple trainings, when anything comes up with Microsoft, we're always in Intune. We're not looking at we're not looking at Jamf or Adigi or Mosel. So I think really it comes down to the type of customers they have. Because I know like one of the big ones will come up is like, what if you have on-prem servers, which like it's 2026, who has on-prem servers? But also like whether or not you want to provide that white glove service in regards to supporting a user. Now, there are other ways to do this, right? You could always just have TeamViewer or Splashtop or Zoom. You don't need necessarily an RMM. So really, I mean, what does the RMM give them? What does like a Datto or Enable or Ninja give them that he can't do with Intune plus TeamViewer or Splashtop?
So I think part of it is going to be there's a lot of things that you as the MSP have to build out in Intune that come in the box with RMM.
Okay.
So I think, although they're already using Roost, so
exactly.
A lot of that could already be being handled by that, right?
If Roost can go and download Chocolatey to the user machine because I sent an Intune command to do it. And again, I am talking out of my butt here for this stuff. But like, if that's doable, then I don't need Datto.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of things there. And you'd have to go through and just check the boxes, right? To make sure that it'll do what you need it to do. Now, I think what you'll find, and this kind of goes along with what I was saying, is there's not a lot it won't do, but you may have to learn PowerShell if you wanted to do it.
But if you're already, if this guy has an entire automation team, I'm assuming his team is big enough to have somebody who understands multiple people to understand PowerShell. And I also kind of feel like most PC MSPs have a PowerShell brainiac on staff. And if they're already in the Microsoft stack for everything else, including their EDR, like I'm trying to figure out what would be missing from the RMM that, to your point, that they'd have to rebuild, right?
Yeah.
They're controlling the security with Intune and Defender. They're able to pull data in and out of devices with Roost and some sort of agent that's on the device. They can program installations of software. Maybe patch management would be something. I don't know if Intune can do third-party patch management.
No, but to your point, you could use Intune to download Chocolatey, and Chocolatey could do it.
Right. Yeah.
So that's an easy one. I had considered patch management as one of the ones that I wanted to bring up, and I'm like, no, there's too many ways to do that. The one that I have thought of in the last minute or so would be non-workstation endpoints.
Like phone?
Switches, routers, printers. What do you use? I mean, you could do something like Avik, right? That would monitor those kinds of things. But that's the one thing that I would think would kind of be missing that some of your RMMs do or have the facility to do that I don't think Intune would.
So I'm reading here, like people rebutting, like I couldn't imagine my professional life without RMM. I have so many monitoring and auto fixes. And the original poster wrote like, so do we, but all of that is available in Intune as scripts or remediation. I think part of the problem is that people think that Intune still has like, you have to wait 8 hours for everything, but apparently not. Like you can do it on a much faster. I mean, you can save the money, but but Intune, let's be honest, right? Intune is not RMM. And I think the original poster here at Beard Attack Fail knows that.
Right.
But like I said, like, here, someone said, what do you use for remote control? Someone says TeamViewer. That's exactly what I said. To your point, like you said earlier, I think there's going to be so much that you be building because it's, RMM has it in the box already. But if their team is smart enough to have an automation team to do a lot with Roost and Intune can do it and they have a remote, maybe RMM is on the way out and maybe there's a future of no RMM. I'm not saying everybody can do this today because like a 2 to 3 small person MSP who doesn't have the ability to spend countless hours clucking in Roost. Oh, I should have said clucking around in Roost. There you go. Won't have the time or the ability to do an RMM replacement. But if you have a 20-person firm, this is something else I've noticed that like English firms tend to be bigger than American firms for the same amount of money. I don't understand how that works. But those bigger firms who have time can spend the time in Roost and in Intune and then work their way out of that RMM. Unless you're the kind of MSP, if you're 3 people and you're the owner and you do nothing but work and you don't have kids or other responsibilities and want to spend all weekend PowerShelling your way into Roost in and out of what they call coops, and then you can do it, cool. You could be a modern, hip, cool MSP charging $175 a month per device and take RMM out of your cost of goods. Cool. Well, do it. But if you can't, don't feel bad.
And this is not a new idea because this resonated in the back of my mind. Like I've done this before. Mm-hmm. And so I went and looked. This is from, I got to scroll back a page. Oh, it doesn't tell me.
This
July
existed
14th, 2021.
Yeah, this existed before RMMs existed. MSPs have been around longer than RMM. Like we did things before RMM existed. We can do things after. What is old is new again. All computers are becoming slim, dumb database terminal. What we call them in the 80s, just dumb terminals, right? Because they connected to a mainframe. Cool, we're back at that anyway. Like we can do it.
Yeah, so I literally, and I'm going to put the thumbnail up here. The thumbnail says RIP to RMM ? And it's on a tombstone.
Yeah.
And Amy Babinchak, who we've had on the show before, was running her MSP RMM less back in 2021. She wrote a blog article on it. Dave Sobel did a session on this as well. I'll probably include the YouTube links because I have them here in the description for my old video, which I will also post the link for. Now, we were talking about it in a different way kind of back then, but it still applies, right? If you already have Intune, you have these other things, adding an RMM on top of this dramatically increases the attack platforms that you can be breached on. And so that's another thought that I don't know is entered in because I didn't read all the comments on this one, but that's another consideration that you may want to look into.
I will say the one caveat to doing the whole I'm all in on Intune Microsoft thing is Microsoft does go down more often than it should. So you might get caught with your hand in the fire on days where Microsoft is having problems when you are doing nothing but using Microsoft tooling. But other than that, you know what? Bearded tech fail sounds like a bearded tech win to me.
All right. Well, I think that's all the Reddit roulette we have time for today.
It's been a good day. Happy Friday, everybody. Yeah, check us out, facebook.com/group/all things MSP. If you have a question or you want us to like help you with your pricing or whatever, DM Eric and I there or on LinkedIn. I've actually been getting a couple of people DMing me on LinkedIn. I love talking to the people who listen to the show. Feel free to hit us up. We're always there. Check us out, youtube.com/@allthingsmsp. Like, subscribe, ring the bell. You know what to do. Eric, any final last words before we say goodbye? I caught you before your hand went up.
I love looking at these because this really is the pulse of what's going on right now. And so I love looking at Reddit and addressing some of these things. One thing I want to make sure people understand is we're not picking on you. We're bringing, different sides of this to the conversation. We just want to have conversations about this. And if you have an opposing opinion, we absolutely want to hear it. And that's what the Facebook group is all about.
Yeah, that's what Facebook groups are for. Hate. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Please do tell us your
opposite of what I meant.
It's the opposite of right. Well, that's how the show works.
Well, that's true. That's how you and I work.
That's how the show works. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a show. All right, everybody. That's Eric. I'm Justin. Bye.
Thank you for listening or watching the All Things MSP podcast. If you liked this episode, go ahead and give us a thumbs up, hit that like button, and consider subscribing to catch all our weekly episodes. And from your host extraordinaire, Justin Esgar, and myself, Eric Anthony, your humble producer and All Things MSP founder, thank you very much for spending your time with us. If you are not aware, All Things MSP started as a Facebook group and now supports over 6,000 members. We also have a LinkedIn page for those of you who don't do Facebook, and make sure to check out our YouTube channel for even more content. And a special thanks to our premier sponsors, Blumira, Easy DMark, Material Security, OIT VoIP, and Sync 365. And thank you to the rest of our sponsors. Without sponsors, we could not do what we do for the MSP community. Please consider checking them out. The All Things MSP podcast is a BizPow LLC production. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not reflect the thoughts and opinions of any employer, vendor, sponsor, or random taxi driver in the Metro DC area. Be sure to join